Everyone, we have made it to our final module, moving forward and parting thoughts. I can't believe it, but this is the end. I have enjoyed recording these modules for you, as I've mentioned, and you have done it, so you deserve a round of applause. This lesson is lesson 4. We're going to recap first. Part 1 was about gaining clarity. What do you see yourself doing? Are you going to take the indie publishing route, or are you going to pursue a traditional contract? And what appealed to you about those two choices? I know that for me, what appealed for me most about indie publishing, and I did traditionally publish my first 3 books with a traditional contract with a top New York house. And while that was awesome, and I do desire to go back to that, what really was awesome about indie publishing was the ability to work at your own pace without a lot of pressure. Pressure can be healthy and wonderful and motivating, but it can also be difficult when you are beholden to someone else to meet deadlines and to make sure that you have things in on time. There is little wiggle room when you have a traditional contract. You have signed something, a binding document that and upheld in a court of law, and you have to make sure that you do what is asked of you. And when you're working full time, that can be difficult. And if you don't make the sales that they think that you should make or that you tried to make and were not successful, that can be really devastating and also a major setback. Traditional contracts are wonderful, and people who can write full time and can really crank out the words, they are in the right lane. They are doing what they need to do, and that is appealing to them. But something about charting your own course and doing things at your own pace, only because I have a full-time job, is the real catch. That's the real important caveat that you need to think about. What do you have time to devote to, and what can you get done in the time allotted? The second thing we talked about is envisioning, part 2 in your publishing action guide. Are you going to use a visual board? Are you going to use a visual tool to help you envision what being an author is, what author life is like, and the things that you need to do to assist you in realizing your goals and realizing your dreams? Our third and final part is about taking action. We covered the SMART goal, and 2 additions to the SMART goal was the hurdle and then the hurdle blocker. These are things that I personally added, the hurdle and the hurdle blocker, because I think that they're things that most people don't take into account. And I think that they're equally important, not only to anticipate roadblocks on your journey, but to think about how you're going to mitigate the impact that those roadblocks and those hurdles and those speed bumps in your way are going to impact your ability to be productive and to get your writing done and to move on towards publication. The final part of this, wrapping up and moving forward in my parting thoughts, is I'm going to answer 10 questions about my own journey. Some of them you may have heard before in different interviews, and some of them are kind of things that I've learned. And I'll just take a moment to propose 10 questions and then answer them. So let's go. Hi everyone, this is the last module that I'll be doing live for this course with the Publishing Action Guide. But just remember that I hope to be doing more courses in the coming months, and even into 2019, I hope to have another course offering for you, and I can't wait to get started filming that and being able to share it with you. The first tip that we have for the question Stop believing that people are overnight successes. They really aren't. You missed all that time people took to get to their end destination and to become a New York Times bestseller. So this is twofold. Even when you're waiting on your own dreams to come true and your own hard effort to be realized and to reach the lists and the outcomes that you want, remember that those same people went through a series of lists. The only person that really knows how long it took someone to be a quote unquote overnight success is really their family and God. Nobody was with them until you started seeing them on the list, started hearing more about their careers and about who they are. You missed all that time that it took them to build that platform, build that career, and start gaining traction on how far they were going. There are no overnight successes. Don't negate the time that it takes to get something done and to see everything that you worked hard for and tried to put into motion to come to fruition. Social media is not a good indicator of what it took to get where people are, but that's all we see is the end result. While there are a number of things that you can work on doing, it's important to realize that if you want to build a platform and you want to have multiple books, you really have to start thinking about that now. You can document your journey to becoming a published author. You can talk about the ins and outs. You can simply just document this and not share it with anyone so that you'll have lots of content to put out there when you do really get going. So be careful about putting things out there too soon, because if you put something out there and then you put down the desire to publish your book or to work on things, then there'll be a long time lapse. So really just start cataloging what you want to do, what has happened, and the journey that you're on, and then get ready to release that closer to when you have an actual publication date. The other thing you want to do is think about what kind of handle are you going to use. Never ever use just one book title because it could change. Always try to use your name or something that sounds good, like the literary sprinter. Always try to use something that sounds good, something literary or something about your journeys or, the backpacker or something like that. Something catchy and interesting, but that can also show all the different characters and different people that you're trying to embody, whether that's travel writing, leisure writing, fiction, nonfiction, inspirational platforms. Really think about and also Google those names before you move forward with it, because you never know what's already out there. You don't want to come up with something and then realize later, oh, that's also the home of a porn star. Nobody wants to have that happen to them. Other things you should do are just to save money, because you don't know how much things are going to cost, and you really should save money anyway. That's kind of a life thing, lifelong thing of saving money and getting ready for the future and always have an emergency fund. But you also want funds for your books, and you have to buy books in order to sell them. You'll have to buy things for your book signings, tablecloths and different tchotchkes and things to give out and postcards. You'll have to have all those things made up when you get ready to launch. So you want to start saving some funds because the money won't immediately come in, and you'll want to have some cushion for that. Don't forsake the assembly of yourselves. You want to network and find opportunities to network with other people, start gaining contacts, building a mailing list. When I first started, I put everyone that I ever met or knew and had address for on my mailing list. And as my mailing list grew, I took off a lot of family and a lot of teachers who really probably didn't care about what I had to share. Some of them do, of course, but I needed to save that postage at the time when I was mailing things out to people that really signed up for things. So put everybody on it first and really start building those contacts and really use every single business card you get until you start to gain more traction and build your base. And then you'll have some real followers who are really interested in your book and not just, oh, look what you did. That was great. When I talk about stigmas, I'm really talking about personal bias and any thoughts that you have about the way in which someone is doing something. When you're an author, we're all authors, we all have books, and all of those books appeal to different types of people. For instance, someone told me, "Oh, I don't have time for self publishing. That's too much work. Oh my God, why?" And I think that that's fine. They realize that actually this person was getting a little bit older, and so they really don't have time. They want to realize their dream faster, but don't present it or make it in such a way that you frown upon it or that you look down upon it. Lift all other authors up, regardless of how they came about to have their book published. So be careful about personal bias about things. There are lots of authors that I know that are self published. Some of them are making six figures, some of them are making a few $100s a month. It really all depends. Anyone can make a go of something. So why should you knock it? Just be careful about what you say and start framing your own thoughts. Find a way to make it more positive. Don't knock it just because you don't know it or you don't have time for it. It's not right for you, but it doesn't mean it's not right for someone else. So just be careful about the types of statements that you make about authors, about book covers, about other things that you don't like, about the way in which somebody did something, because not only is someone not going to like the way that you did something, it really doesn't matter. What matters is that people did what was right for them. They saw something what they liked and they just ran with it. But I wouldn't dare knock anyone's anything else because that I think that that's not right for me. Everybody likes what they like, and you should respect that. And we should all speak positively about one another and the way in which we're entering to the market and the way in which we're going about getting our book published. A very quick short story about how I started when I was in my early 20s. I really didn't know a lot about being professional and not having little tantrums. And that's how I burned a bridge, which also brings me to my biggest regret. Is that I burned a bridge with an editor, and it's always haunted me even to this day. It's not a big deal. I seriously doubt that person is somewhere thinking about me like, oh, that person was nuts, and I don't know what they were thinking. But it was that I felt my work was butchered, and I had a hard time dealing with that. When you really know that this is a business and you have a product to sell, and that editors are not out to get you and agents are not out to quote unquote get you, but they're out to help you make a product that you want to sell, that you want others to purchase in the marketplace, compete and be the best that it can be against other similar products that people also have out, then you want to take those ideas and the things that they have with a grain of salt. It doesn't matter what they personally think about something. It matters that they polished it, they edited. Yes, they may have had to get rid of some words that you had and some ways in which your work was going, but that is only to make it better. That is not to make it a personal attack. And you have to take those things and kind of swallow them, as bitter as they may be, but it's all to be able to work better for you. It's not a personal thing. And when you realize that you have a product and that it's a business, that will be easier for you to absorb. People always ask, where do ideas come from and how do you come up with titles? They really are very similar. Ideas for me come from the news. Anything is material. Anything that you see can be an impetus into sparking your creativity and your imagination to use ideas to come up and build more things around that. So you'll get a snippet of someone's life from the news. It's up to you to build that beginning and that ending or that middle. Ask yourself, why are they on the news? What led to whatever criminal activity or whatever thing that they did that sparked interest for you and made you want to wonder about them and what kind of person they are? So look to the news differently and just really look everywhere for different ideas. You can take them and run with them, and they can become your own. You can craft them, develop them, and help nurture them till they grow. Titles for me come from songs. Different lyrics in different songs sometimes make the perfect title. And you should also try to make your title interesting and intriguing and think about how would you sum up the book if you had. Come up with some words that you can think of to sum up the book, and you may be able to get your title out of that. But also discuss things with other people and see what they think. You have beta readers, or you have people that are going to be part of your launch team, or any friend or colleague who's read the book for you in order to give you feedback. They might have a great title. If you really struggle with this, then talk to other people, see what their titles are, and also Google the title to make sure there's not 10,000 other books that also have that same title. You won't always avoid that. That's sometimes nearly impossible with all the millions of books that are published each year, but you still want to be unique. Could you take one word out of that title? Could you change one word in the title? I also believe titles shouldn't be more than 5 words. Think about how much space titles take up on the cover of a book. If you have an editor or agent, they can also help you come up with a title for the book. So just seek advice from other people and ask them. My next tip is about seeking professionals, people to assist you that really know what they're doing and can do that in a reasonable time frame and do it very professionally. Be careful in marrying family and friends. There's nothing wrong with them if they have a legitimate business. At the same time, people can sometimes cut corners because they know you. They're a little bit more lax about your business when you take your business seriously and you want to make things the best it can be. Plus, it's just better to have that kind of detached relationship, that this is a business person, not my cousin or my brother or sister, but these are people that do this every single day, turn it around, and deliver to you a really good product. Be careful of hiring people that are just doing it on the side, that aren't really dedicated, and that don't stay on top of trends and things as they're changing. People that are professionals know what's going on in the marketplace. They know, let's say, how book covers are changing, where there used to be couples and things on many romances. Maybe now there's just a lone figure of a woman or a man's suit and his tie and different things like that. The industry evolves, and you want someone who's a professional that does this all the time and stays on top of those trends so that you can stay current. There are many people that I know that are sometimes on what I call the rat race, or the wheel that the mouse is on, and they're just running, running, running in circles. They are burning calories and they are moving, but they're not actually getting anywhere because it's like being on a treadmill. It's very stationary. I know some people who are stuck in the editing phase, about 2 years, 3 years, still editing the same work and eventually having to get it out. I'm going to be truthful that as I look back over my books, I'm like, wow, I could have fixed that. Oh, I should have put that in. Oh, I should have changed this ending to do something else. And you'll always feel that way, no matter how much you work on the book. Even if you worked on it for 10 years and you publish it, you find it later in another 5 years and you're like, wow, I could have changed that. I think writing is like living room decorating. You are never quite ready. It is never quite finished. But at some point, you have to invite people over to sup with you and to fellowship and to read and admire your book. So move forward with your work, graduate eventually. You can't stay in school forever. You should always be learning, but you should also be moving to the next level. And there's nothing wrong with chronically improving your work, so long as you're also getting feedback from other people and you implement those edits, you send it to another group of people and you implement those edits. But at some point, you have to press publish and you have to move forward. That's really the only way you're going to grow, or else you'll be stuck in a perpetual time warp trying to improve the same sentence over and over again. You have to let go, you have to move on. It's the only way you're going to grow, and it's the only way you're going to get even more feedback from the masses of people so you can improve. And also, you can enter published books into contests. That's what I do. As I publish books, I enter them into some different contests. I also get feedback that way, and I use that for the next book and the next series that I'll be working on. That is it. I've had a great time. Like I said, and like I always say, reach out to me and there'll be a survey to complete at the end of this, and I hope you will fill it out. Let me know because I need to know. I'm going to put this course out there. I'm going to get out off the wheel of producing content and filming myself, and I'm going to put it out there for you to purchase, hoping that you will learn something and that you will enjoy and that you will give me feedback in order to put in for the next course.